Hello, I'm Alayna Duren, one of two science teachers at Armorel High School. Armorel is an extremely small school district in Northeast Arkansas. I feel very fortunate to have been chosen to participate in the STRIVE program during the 2023 session. I was placed at Hytrol, which is a manufacturing company of material handling systems. Their main plant is located in Jonesboro, but they have a second location in Fort Smith. Hytrol manufactures gravity roller conveyor beds and electric roller belt conveyor systems. They provide products for Amazon and UPS, but also reserve production time and resources for smaller independent customers as well. Hytrol is very proud of the role they play in material handling and how that role impacts global and local economies and quality of life for all consumers. Before spending time at Hytrol, I didn't appreciate what an integral part conveyor systems play in the supply chains we all depend on. So along with teaching my students what Hytrol does, I wanted my students to also gain an appreciation for how Hytrol's products fit into the bigger picture of global supply chains and understand how disruptions in those supply chains happen and what the impacts are from those disruptions. I introduced the lesson with some Japanese snacks, and we discussed and marveled at how quickly they had arrived and brainstormed all the steps involved in getting those snacks from Japan to Little Armorel, Arkansas. We developed a definition for supply chain and looked at examples of components of generic supply chains, and then read an article about McDonald's French fry supply chain and discussed all the places conveyors are used throughout that supply chain. We then discussed instances locally that we'd seen conveyors used, such as unloading food into the cafeteria or unloading products into the grocery store or at Walgreens. We even pointed out that they can be seen in cotton fields in loading the the cotton modules, or in commercial cafeterias like those they had seen at some of the college campuses where they pick up and move the dirty dishes, or even in some restaurants, where food offerings rotate around the dining area. To help students get a feel for the bigger picture of conveyor systems in supply chains and economies, students developed an experiment to quantify time and labor differences between companies with and without conveyor systems. The setup was 5 extremely heavy packages represented by marbles had to be moved across the classroom. The packages were so heavy that a single person could only carry one at a time, but a conveyor could handle one after another. Students gathered time data and discovered it took 6 times longer without the conveyor system, or that it took a team of 5 people to match the conveyor time. These results led to discussions of profit margins for companies and product costs for consumers, and economic impacts both local and global. We expanded that discussion after reading an article that detailed all the ways COVID-19 impacted global supply chains. This helped students see that it was much bigger than the prevailing idea of people don't want to work, and helped them see how much worse it could have been without the conveyor systems in place. As you can see from the pre and post test, my students had very little to no knowledge about supply chains or the importance of conveyor systems in those supply chains. After the lesson, the majority of students could define supply chain, diagram a specific supply chain, discuss quantitative and qualitative concerns associated with conveyor systems, and how Hytrol addresses those with their products. It could identify specific ways COVID-19 impacted global supply chains. During my placement at Hytrol, I was able to be on the assembly floor and actually work in 4 different areas of the plant to experience firsthand the skills my students need to be successful employees there. I was also able to interview supervisors in multiple departments to better understand the skills they look for when hiring and promoting workers. The experience and information gained through my Strive placement at Hytrol definitely impacted my students and will enable them to make more informed decisions about choices leading up to and following graduation. So if you'd like to share current real-world employer expectations with your students, and I definitely encourage you to apply to the Strive program to participate in this year's summer 2024 installment of Strive.